Right. We should start, I think. I don't want to miss the Belgian party later on. My name is Peter Åstedt. I am from Sweden. And yeah, as you all know, Sweden is like the most digitalized streaming country there has been. We don't know what CDs is any longer. We hardly know what vinyl is. There's a revival of cassette tapes, yes. But not more than that. I will go through streaming, and it's not the easiest topic that is done. I did this speech at Westway, at Nuno's conference. Is it 6 months ago? No, it's a little bit 8 months ago. It's like April. I took it up, and because when you asked me, like, can you do the streaming again? I was like, yeah, it's no problem. I have that in my computer. Went into it and saw that everything that I actually said on Westway is not true any longer. And that's how fast it goes. It changes all the time. So, the first thing I will say, everything I say right now might not be true. We start with that. Because it could have changed yesterday, it could have changed a week ago, and I don't know it. And everything is like, no one really knows what's going on. It's a kind of a game of rumor and everything, how this works. Then there are some tricks that are real, and I will get into them because otherwise it won't be pointless to be here. So I will definitely go into the things that we should go into. Then I will bring up a hell of a lot of things around Spotify. That is just because I am from Sweden. I've worked with Spotify since 2006. So it's the company that's closest to me. But there is so many new services, like we have Deezer, you have YouTube, you have Apple, you have all the other ones as well. They work in a similar way, but it's not really the same thing all the time. And Spotify is the ones who are the furthest for the moment, which I think they will lose pretty soon, but we'll come into that. But that's why Spotify is so centralized as Spotify is, because of me. It's not that Spotify is the best service, definitely not. There are other services that are even better, probably. And there will come new services that are probably even more excellent. You never know. I will start also to tell about, there's some pictures here, so silos. And that's because the whole thing of the whole thing is that internet works like silos, more or less. What stays in one silo doesn't go over to the next silo. So if you have a large number, for example, on Facebook, that doesn't mean that you're going to have a lot of numbers on Spotify. And if you have a large number on Spotify, that doesn't mean that you're going to have a large number on Deezer. If you don't have on Deezer, then it doesn't mean that you're going to have a large number on YouTube. So everything stays in their own content. This is a problem that we didn't expect. I mean, when we started doing this, we were more or less like, oh yeah, everything will flow over. If I have a lot of numbers, it will go good for us on the whole thing. But we have realized it's not. And so my first question is there any artist in here? Okay, you. How many Spotify followers do you have?
Oh, I don't know. Not so many, I think.
Not so many?
Definitely way less than Facebook fans.
Okay, how many Facebook fans do you have?
I don't know, 1,500 maybe.
1,500, okay. How many MySpace?
I don't have MySpace.
Everybody laughs. I do that all the time. Because we laugh at MySpace. But when I started this 2006, that was reality. That was everything we were talking about, was the MySpace. Oh, I have 2 million MySpace followers. Yeah, what are you going to do with them today? Not much. And this is the game. Right now, it's the same thing on Spotify. Yeah, you maybe have 1,000 followers on Facebook or 1,000 followers on anything like that, but does that count tomorrow? And it goes down to one thing, because I can tell you, we can actually end the whole session here. How you get on playlists. It's only one thing. Get fans. Get fans that streams you, or use your music on your services that will be I went in and checked on dead bands on Spotify. I mean, they have millions of streams. They haven't never promoted themselves on Spotify, but they have real fans. As soon as a new service comes along, they will go in there, write in their name, and start listening to their music in that capacity that they work in. So, in the bottom line is get fans. Get fans. That's the only reliable source. And have super fans that follows you everywhere. That's how you get on playlist. That's how the playlist wants to work. At the same time, all of people in here probably wants to cheat, because that's why they go on this lectures, is why you want to know how to cheat the systems. And I will teach you that a little bit at least. Not cheating, but do it a little bit easier. But before I do that, I also, it's gonna be a little bit negative, because playlist is not only good. Right now I have a feeling that the whole music industry is like chasing those playlists, like, oh, I'm gonna get something. And playlist won't get you a career. It won't. So far, I haven't found a band that actually broke from playlists. If someone can mention one, I can check it out, I'm be happy, but I don't think there is. There are bands that have been using the playlists as a smart marketing tool. Yes, there is. There's several of them. But never broken. You don't get a lot of money. I checked one of my bands, and I took them, and they're mid-size. Some of them knows them, the Magnets. I checked them, they have around 1 million streams. And I calculated yesterday that they, with that, all the streamings they have done, I actually booked one show this morning for the same amount of money. And I booked 60 of these shows out of the spring. So actually, just this spring, between January to June, they make 60 times more the money than they did from the playlists. So you won't get that much money. I mean, yes, the money you get, keep them. It's always good with money. But don't expect that something big's gonna happen. And it's the same thing with even the stars that has a lot of things on playlists. They actually, they earn more money on the other things, like their ticket sales and their merchandise sales and stuff like that. So it's not gonna get you that much money. Playlist won't get you discovered. This is also one of the things. Everybody thinks like, oh, if I get on the playlist, I'm gonna get discovered. Not really. Some people will, but some will, you might get some new fans, but actually most playlists are done as background music. I usually say like, would you be impressed if I said that all the elevators in whole of Ljubljana had my music in the ceilings? You wouldn't be that impressed. It's good though. I mean, it could get discovered. Someone says in the elevator, like, oh, this is a good song. Shazam it. Oh, it's that band. I will add it. It's not going to happen. And if you look onto the playlist also, they are mainly designed for a flow of music. You have dinner with your friends. It says it all. You're going to have dinner with your friends. You want to listen to the music. You will have dinners with your friends. And that's the thing of a playlist. Some of the playlists are like New Music Friday. Yes, it's a playlist that makes good things so you can actually find new music. What actually people is doing with New Music Friday is mainly looking on and say, oh, they're on the chart. Okay, cool, right. It's not that they listen so much to it. It only gives around 10,000 streams actually from a New Music Friday from Sweden. That's kind of little. Get your live gigs. This I will come back to, but it won't give you that much live gigs. It actually might destroy your live gigs. It's one of the things, the faults of the playlists. Get you into the world. Before, yes. Now, no. One of the big things right now with all the streaming services is their problem is that everybody, if you go into a playlist right now and look into that playlist, it's going to be full of music you don't know. Because the playlists are built on different algorithms that goes in, and it will be a playlist with maybe 40 tracks that you don't know. Okay, most of the people in here are music nerds, I know that. So you will be like, oh, 40 new songs, that's cool, I will listen to them all. But the normal listener will not do that. They will be like, what the hell, there's no Nickelback here, why should I listen to this? And that's the big problem actually for the streaming services right now. There's too much unknown music. I mean, it's good music, it's not that. It's just that for the normal listening audience, they don't like it when you don't know anything. So there you have it. It's like they want to start building more local repertoire so people actually recognize what they listen to. Do you get the new fans? Yes, you can get new fans from the playlist. It happens. But it's not that usual. So I'm going to actually start by getting what Spotify says. And someone might have seen this. I don't know when they released this video, but it's not that far away. And if you haven't seen it, it can be kind of cool to see it. There's a nice noise. Love this noise.
You're not just making music for yourself. You're making music because you want to get heard, which means you want to get on playlists. Here's X from here at Spotify.
What's up, everybody?
About to drop that knowledge.
Let's do it, let's do it. There are billions of discoveries happening every month in our service, and over half of them come from our programming. That means it's the #1 way for you to get your music discovered. And what's really cool is that Spotify for Artists now lets you deliver unreleased music to the right editorial team for playlist consideration.
Dope. But first, let's talk payola. That's pay for play.
You cannot buy your way onto a playlist.
This is Meg from Spotify.
Hi. Oh, you didn't say stop. Sorry.
All good.
No one can affect those decisions. There are thousands of playlists. Each playlist is made with the listener in mind.
If anyone offers you pay for play to get on a Spotify playlist, it's a scam. Got it.
The way you can end up on a Spotify playlist is to get us your music as early as possible. We're talking at most weeks out when your music is ready, or at a minimum 7 days. That's because we get over 20,000 songs a day. It's just a lot of music to listen to. It's just a lot. So the earlier you get us your music, the better your chances.
Okay. So what happens next?
So then once your music is delivered, but before it's released, you and your team have a chance to tag it so it can end up in the running for the playlist that's right for you.
Start by picking the one track. Any tips?
There's no one right way to pick a track. Pick the one that you love. Pick a track that you would want millions of people singing at the same time.
Okay, next. Choose your genre, moods, styles, language, and type of recording. Then tell us what city you identify with, the story behind your song, review, and submit.
We have playlists for every theme, music, moment, holiday, whatever. So having your tags right helps the editors find the right music for each one. It also helps the algorithms know where to send your tracks for those algorithmic playlists too.
Real talk, there's no guarantee you'll end up on an editorial playlist. But if you got your tags right and you submit early, your track has a better chance of getting picked up.
One thing is for sure, the algorithms are designed to automatically deliver your music to your followers the week it comes out.
And once you're on a playlist, don't sleep on sharing. Soul pop singer Amber Marks got that sharing down.
So when my tracks are featured on, any Spotify playlist, especially when it's a big one, I tend to go through social media. I'm huge on Instagram. The first time it was ever featured on a playlist, I was like, oh my God! On the phone calling literally everyone.
She's right. Make sure to get the word out about playlists you've been featured on.
Sharing is everything. The more you share your music, the better chances people have of hearing it. The more people hear it, the better chance you have of getting on a playlist, staying on a playlist, and making new fans.
That's dope.
Yeah, I think so. And you know what? If your music doesn't get playlisted on release day, pick your head up. Don't worry about it. It's just the beginning. Keep sharing your music.
Sounds like you've got some work to do. Go get busy, and we'll catch you later.
Now we stop the sound. So that's Spotify's version. Have anyone seen this one? No. It was kind of a little bit. It actually is. I think it's laid out on Spotify Artists. And yeah, it's true. It's actually that easy. That is the truth. It's just that they jump the parts and they say things very fast. Things that they don't want you to know, really, in that kind of sense. But there's, to break it down, it's two ways to get into the playlist. There are playlists that are editorial. That means that a human being actually sitting and doing that playlist. And that was what I was talking about, the editorial teams and stuff like that. The other one is the algorithms. the algorithms is computer things that can calculate what we should listen to next. I don't trust the algorithms that much because my algorithms always fuck up quite hard. And that's because I listen to a lot of strange music from different festivals I've been on, so the algorithms actually don't learn it. But if you're using the algorithms in a correct way, they actually start learning quite much what you like and not like. But it always assumes things that might not be right. But we should be aware of that in the future the algorithms probably will be the big one that's gonna change our world, because it's getting better and better and better and understands more and more and more. And if it's kind of crappy right now, I will suggest in like 3 years it can be actually pretty smart. But the algorithms, it looks in a special way, and this is also how you submit to playlists. Here you saw that they have changed one thing, and that's how you submit your music to the editorial team. This is different from different. So, for example, YouTube doesn't have an editorial team. They just have algorithms and measure things. Deezer has both algorithms and editorial, but they have more editorial than they have algorithms. Apple also have editorial teams and algorithms as well, but also there, at Apple, I don't think you can reach the editorial team that good. There are some ways, but it's very, very tricky. And this is the thing, it's like also where we're heading. What happened to Spotify, and that's why I changed this. This is a total new, this one I have never shown this one before, is that what happened in October was that quite many of the editorial team on Spotify got fired. We were a little bit puzzled about it first, because we didn't know about it and nobody needed. What happened was that when I start sending out mails to my editorial people, it comes back, bounces, says, hey, I left this post and I'm not here any longer. And many of my friends also that like, oh, I stopped working on Spotify, I'm on somewhere else right now. And that was a change, that they're gonna rely more on algorithms than ever. So I think they probably took away at least half of the editorial team, or even more, and just changed it out to algorithms. Because what's happened to the people that I knew had a playlist is that the algorithm has taken over the playlist. So how do you submit to the computer program? You can't. And this is the difference between editorial submission and an algorithm submission. Algorithm, you can't affect them. They are just computer programs to pick up numbers. So they, more or less, those are the ones who affect your music afterwards. I will tell you that there's no point of sending a song that's already in on Spotify to the editorial team. They might be a little bit cranky when you do that. And that's because they know that as soon as the song is out there, the algorithm can actually read what numbers. Even if you say, like, this is the best song in the world, everybody's gonna listen to it, they can just go into the computer and say, like, no, it's only you and your mom that listens to this song. So, the algorithm's already told us, if something happens to that song, the algorithm will know it because it will movement in other kind of ways. And before October, most of the algorithms actually just measured things inside Spotify, more or less like how people listen to it. I remember like 6 or 7 months ago, we were giving the artist that, we said, in the first 24 hours, take your song and move it into your own playlist. Tell all your friends to move it into your playlist. Listen to the song and all that kind of stuff. Because we wanted to affect the algorithms more or less. Getting the impression that the algorithm's like, oh, this is a song that is going well. That has probably stopped. We don't really know. It's a little bit too short. I'm just between two things here, so I don't really know. But what we've seen for the new one is that the algorithm is actually taking their information outside Spotify. That's the new thing right now. What I mean with that is 2014, Has anyone heard of the Econest? No one knows what Econest is? Oh, that's not someone. Econest is a company, more or less, that getting numbers. It's a number crunching thing. They take in numbers on different sources and where it should be. Spotify bought many of these. I don't know how many companies they bought, but it was like 2014, and we were more or less a little bit puzzled. Also, why did you buy this kind of stuff? Why do you buy a company that has analytic functions? Now the answer came 4 years later. They're using that data from these companies to read what is happening with the song outside Spotify. And that's like the surrounding echo. And this is one of the major changes that happens just a couple of months ago, is that they start reading this stuff. So I will tell you a story how we can see that kind of things happen. We're going back to the magnets where I told you about the million streams and the money. They got one, they're on a TV show in Sweden, so one of their trailers using their music in the background. It doesn't say anything that it is the magnets, it doesn't say anything like that, it's just the song that goes there. And suddenly that song, 2 weeks later, just popped up on one of the biggest playlists on Spotify. And this is an album track. It's not, we haven't done anything, it's released 2 years ago, it's an old song, it's actually a folk song, and the song is used to minimize the speed of the album. It's like they go playing very fast and then it goes down, it slows down, and then it goes back fast again. So this track is really nothing that we promoted. The band hasn't been out playing live on this track. And we were totally puzzled. Why is this song suddenly appearing on one of the bigger playlists called Calm Music and Ballads? And we were like, no one has asked for this. This has been out. Then we realized, oh, it came exactly around the same time as a TV trailer. And we couldn't understand, but how does people know that it is the Magnets who's playing on this trailer and went out and searching on Spotify for the track? And we realized, and we went into the numbers ourselves and looked at it, and we saw that no one has actually typed in the Magnets quite much into the Spotify system. And suddenly we realized, so I called up my friend on Shazam. And he said like, yeah, there's a spike on it. And there's a lot of people that are sitting in front of the TV, heard the song, said, what the fuck, what's this song? Shazam the song. And the Shazam numbers went up, and the algorithm picked that up. This is something that people are searching for, and put it on a playlist. Of course, this is not directly science, because we haven't got it confirmed from Spotify, but we're pretty sure that's how it went on. And that's how things around you get. Also, you noticed on the trailer here, that they said, yeah, spread the word, talk about us, talk about Spotify. And what we're seeing right now, to get into the algorithm, is like how much your song is written about in other media. They picked that up and actually looked into it. And you also noticed that they said, oh, you have to submit it early. You heard that when he said it? Yeah, the earlier the better. You know how early that is? Yeah, someone has it. 6 months. 6 months. They want you to upload the song 6 months. This is actually, that came back, I also own a distribution system, we actually got that back to us as well. And we were like, there's no way no one uploads a song 6 months beforehand. And so we called up some editorial people, and Spotify asked, you really need it 6 months ahead? It's like, no, it's enough with 10 weeks. 10 weeks is kind of fine. What it's doing, it's actually, as soon as you uploaded it, it starts measuring what is happening around this song. They measure about the song title, they measure about the names, the tags, everything. So they can see if it's like, if you building up to your fans, like a strategy when it goes up, and then it's a release. The algorithms today actually feels that. And they can actually tell how many times. How many have used the pre-save function? That's the 2. So the rest of you don't know what a pre-save function is. Okay, the pre-save function is that when you've uploaded the song to a good distributor, also, yeah, this I need to tell you, and this is probably I'm gonna get shit for. Not all of the distributors are good enough to actually do this kind of thing. You need to have a pretty good distributor right now. There's a lot of distributors out there. Some of them is actually, I've seen Spotify taking off things because from some distributors because they know it's mainly music that is not promoted. There are people that, you know, upload a song just for the fun of it. The other thing they also do is these services can't give you all the things that is needed for a release, and that's the pre-save function. One of it is, it's several of these functions. The pre-save function is that you can, as soon as it's uploaded on Spotify, you can get into your distributor and get a link to, let's say it's a picture of the track, and people can actually just go in and click on that picture, and that automatically gonna get your song into their playlists automatically on the day of the release. So if you have super fans, more or less, if they have like, oh, this is my Friday work list, they automatically, that song will appear that Friday when it's released. Yes, you need to release the song on Friday. It also has to do with algorithms. The algorithms work against Friday releases. I mean, you should have a really, really good reason for not releasing on a Friday. It could be that, yes, we're going to be on this radio show or a TV thing and we're going to release it through them. Yeah, that's fine. Then you release on a Wednesday, Tuesday, whatever you want. But if it's not like that, use the Friday, because the algorithms is actually programmed to do it. Everything is user generated also. They count that you should promote the stuff outside Spotify. You hear it on the video as well. She says like, oh, I called up all my friends. Yes, they want you to promote your product. And this is also one of the myths that I don't know if it's true. We have tried to figure it out, but we know it was active a little bit a while ago. And that is that if they feel that you promote someone else's, so if Spotify feels that, oh, you're only writing about Deezer, they actually put it off. And the same thing with Deezer, that Deezer feels like, oh, you're only talking about Spotify, they put it off. We don't know if it's really true, but we have seen things where we expect that it could have happened. We are not sure, but the user generated is like they want you to do their marketing. They have done so much marketing themselves, so they want you to work for them. And that's also one of the things that the algorithm is picking up right now. They're picking up heavily if you promote or not promote. As they also said, there's like 20,000 songs a day uploaded. I calculated a little bit on that. They need a team of 400 people working all day long to listen to all that stuff if they're gonna do that in a month. Spotify doesn't have that many people. So the algorithms is more or less is a way to do a lot of work in the same thing. And there's a lot of things. And right now, when most people say like, yeah, but these are small things, does it really have an effect? Yes, it has. Out of those 2,000 songs, I guarantee you that 19,000 of them actually doesn't do these small stuff I just told you, like the pre-save link, they don't do the tagging, they might not do the promotion around it. Suddenly, right now, it becomes more and more important to be on a radio show, for example, because the algorithms pick that up. Also, Spotify picks that up. That's also one of the things that if you're on a rotational radio, they actually put you off the list as soon as you get on again, they put it on. I don't know why, but they're afraid of radio. Yeah, the release time we already spoke about. So 10 weeks is the good round, what you should do. But now we're going over to the editorial, and then the editorial is not as good, so don't be like, oh yeah, I submit my song 6 months ahead and then I send it to the editorial team. Well, they are human, so they will forget about that. They get 20,000 songs in their system and they don't. So it's a little bit tricky. The algorithm likes to have things 6 months ahead. The editorial team, and this is what he also said in the video, he says like 7 days. Because if you talk to the editorial team, they say like, yeah, but you know, send the song the week before the release, because then I remember it, you know, then it's a part of my plan. So don't send it to the editorial team too early either. This is one of the things that I've done that mistake a couple of times, sending it off like 4 or 5 weeks. It's like, hey, you know, this is the new song of this band. If you do that, then you have to send it several times to the editorial teams. And if you send it too many times, they get pissed off on you. I have done that as well. So it's, you know, it's a little bit of sensitive. The computer stuff as far away as possible. The editorial stuff a week, 2 weeks ahead of time. So let's go into the editorial. Yeah, I talked about the staff that was fired. So I'm gonna go through, just in a minute, I will go through how you submit the stuff as well and get the right tags and stuff. But what I will say, that the editorial teams, many times people are saying that, oh, and they did it in the video. I'm a little bit surprised that they did it in the video. They told us like, yeah, tell us the story about the song. If you say that to an artist, they will be like, yeah, this song is about my dead cat. And you're like, okay, that's not interesting for us. We don't have any playlists with dead cats. Or maybe they have, I don't know. The thing is that they, what they're looking for is actually future things. So if maybe you know that you are booked to MENT Festival and you're releasing a single in January, you should actually have been written down like, oh yeah, by the way, we are playing at MENT, or we are playing at Westway Lab, or we are playing at Sonic Vision, we are playing anywhere. Or we're doing this, or we're doing this, we have this PR agency, we are doing they're looking for future things. Because a track that is not out yet, the algorithm doesn't know anything about it. Right now, we know the algorithms is out searching for it, but they don't know anything about the track until it's released. So it's only the editorial team that actually can affect a track before it's released. Because even the algorithms can pick up things, but the editorial team is the human brain that actually can say that, oh, this is good PR work or anything like that. So anything that you can tell them about the future is really good. So advertising, this question I get a lot. People say like, yay, but if I go into Spotify and buy ads, will I get on the playlists? No, you won't. And this is actually true. Many people, I've heard so many people saying that, no, but this is probably true. It's like, no, it's not true. Their advertising team is one entity, and their editorial team is one entity. They don't talk to each other, not at all. The thing that happens when you buy ads can be that the algorithms pick it up, maybe, but not even that is certain for a thing. So buying ads, yeah, you could do it, but it won't get you on any playlist. I mean, you will get, and it's expensive. The last price check I had on Spotify, they wanted 5,000 euros just as a starting, the smallest ad you can get. That was the smallest one. And for 5,000 euros, you can hire some really good PR team out there doing it much better. So don't go on that one. Their advertising, they don't want advertising in reality. Spotify is like, they'd rather have people paying as a subscription. So advertising is not good for them, but they need it anyway. So they're going for the major companies like, you know, Mercedes or Volvo, whatever, to pay for ads. And the ads doesn't go that well. I tested the ads several times and no, it doesn't. So buying ads and thinking that that's going to get you anything on the editorial team or almost all the algorithms, no, it's not. It's separate. So, okay. The release time, yes, I spoke about the release time. Couple of weeks. Anyone uses the Google Docs? Recently? Some of them. For you who didn't know, is it like this is the thing. There was Google Docs that you actually can reach the editorial team. There was. These Google Docs was kind of secret. I think in my office we had 86 Google Docs in the end that we used for every release. And that meant that I can actually pitch the music to every editorial team there is around the world. So, and of course these, in the beginning, it was all happy campers. It took maybe 6 months and then someone put it out somewhere online, and in the end it got so spammed that they actually took it off. So the Google Docs is, they've taken them off. So if you try to use them right now, you don't go anywhere. I don't think you can actually access them any longer. But the editorial addresses, who has sent to editorial? Ah, there we have one. There's editorial addresses. They are not that hard to find. They are online. And they go straight into the editorial team. I can probably say one in my head. I think this editorial@spotify.com is one of them. I think that still works. I know also the UK one works. It's also editorial. I know the Swedish one works. That's redaktionen@spotify.com. Those email addresses, when you send an email to them, it will come a bounce back saying that this address we don't use that much any longer, but so go into your Spotify team, Spotify artist page and submit there. That's what you get back. But what we have learned is that they still read those mails. They read those mails, and it's just that they don't want to get spammed. So don't sit and spam them. If you ever send it to the editorial team, yes, if you send one 6 months ahead and then send one 2 weeks before the release, that's okay. Do that. But don't sit and send press releases to them every day. They're gonna get annoyed at what you're doing. But these editorial addresses is actually still in use. We have found that out. We were kind of sure they were not, but we just got notified 2 days ago that they were because the answer on it. New Music Friday. I was into that before. New Music Friday is like the test ground. This is where they test the music when they don't have any numbers. I mean, the editorial team picks out the best songs they think and put it into the New Music Friday to just test the songs if it's good enough. Anyone knows what skip rate is? Okay, we have gone into skip rate as well. Skip rate is how fast people take off a song. If you're on a playlist and suddenly inside this playlist this comes up a Nickelback song, you're probably gonna skip it. And the skip rate becomes, then the system itself says like, oh, there's like 80% of people skipping this song. We should take it off. We should not have that on a playlist. And that's for all genres except for hip hop, which is kind of funny. This is because the hip hop people listen to music differently than other people. I don't know why, but they do. They listen to the song like, oh, I'm going, here's the chorus. Oh, I'll sing along, and then I go back and listen to the chorus again. Oh, and so the skip rate went ballistic. So they actually took it off from hip hop. I think they still have it that way. Because but also the algorithms probably have getting better, so it probably feels right now that he's listening to the same song and it's a super fan or something like that. So I don't know if it is, but the skip rate demands on how good you are, on how good the interaction is, and the New Music Friday playlist is that interaction point for Spotify. That's like where they see like, oh, this song goes well, then we should put it onto this playlist, and you get some help because the algorithms also looked onto New Music Friday. But like they said in the video, don't cry because you don't get into the New Music Friday. It's like, I spoke to one of the major labels in USA, and they said like, yeah, but getting into the New Music Friday is like a lottery. It's really like a lottery. And it's good for the testing grounds, but it doesn't generate more than, I think the American, when we were on New Music Friday USA, it generated 100,000 streams. And if you go on to Sweden, which is a kind of a big country anyway, in terms of streaming, it only gives you 10,000 streams, which is not that much.
Per day or per week?
No, for the whole time. For the whole week. For the whole time. It's not that much. People think like, oh, have I got into Music Friday? The thing was though, when the Google Docs was up, when we can get in, I think my record is I have been to 14 different New Music Fridays at one time, and that's like crazy. They can't do it. Why they have taken also off, I can tell you that one, is the localization. I was in for it a little bit before. That localization, since people doesn't recognize the songs, they want a localized thing. And that's why they also took off the Google Docs, is because before I could send it to the German editorial team, like, hey, this is a good Swedish band, you should play it, and they actually did. Right now, it's more or less like, even if I send it to the editorial team in Germany, they will be more or less like, yeah, this is not a German song, so a German group, so the chances that the audience actually will know what it is less. So if you can prove to them that, yeah, I have a German tour with like 20 dates, that is actually interesting for the editorial team, because that means that something might gonna happen to the audience and they actually put it on. Or I can prove that this group has a lot of things going on inside Spotify from Germany, then it also works. Oh, here comes the skipper. All right. What's the difference between active and passive listeners? This is also one of the things that you can see that actually in the background. I think it comes into that a little bit later in the Spotify artist, how you see that. Active and passive listener. An active listener is someone that writes in your artist name, like, oh, I'm gonna listen to Lithuanian Ghost. Where? There you go. And then I listen to that song. That's an active listening. That's what I'm doing. A passive listening is when the song is in a playlist somewhere. I know I put in like, oh, a dinner with friends. I put it on and I go have dinner with my friends. That's a passive listening. And Spotify knows this quite well. They know exactly what you listen to and not listen to. They can see that in a movement. We think, this is also one of the things, we are not sure if it's true, but I heard it a couple of days ago, that they actually know if you're on the front of the computer or not. Because if you move the mouse, you're there. If it stands still, you're not. But I'm not sure. I've seen other stuff that has been kind of creepy, but that's could be. Yeah, they want you to work. That's the thing. Is like they want you to promote it. So we have been into that. The future as well. Yeah, good numbers. What is a good number?
What?
Okay, we have some artists. What's you know?
A million.
A million. A million. That's a good number of streaming. If you have 1 million streams, it's not a good number.
100
Right? Do you think that?
No, it's what? In terms of income, it's nothing.
No. But it's
But
like
I find it quite.
It's alright.
it's alright.
It makes me happy.
Yeah, it makes you happy. It makes me too happy. So I'm not arguing with it. Is anybody else thinking what is the good numbers? And I mean, everything is about you.
1,000. Sometimes I think.
Yeah, it depends on if you're doing only noise music that is like really industrial stuff. 2,000 listeners is actually pretty good. I mean, it is actually up to you what is a good number. I can tell you though what the industry looks as a good number. I was speaking to another major label in USA and asking them, what are you looking for when you, because they have programs that actually search through all these databases to see who's going where. And he said like, yeah, we're looking for the bands that get 1 million streams in the first 48 hours. That's the number they're looking for. But he said, at the same time, says, but it sucks because all these bands that has that usually have a pretty good manager who knows that negotiate this shit. So it costs us hell of a lot of money right now to sign them. So the major labels are right now more into creating bands than they are to signing bands, because it has getting harder and harder and harder. And many of these bands has been more, you know. So what's a good number for Spotify? Because that's also one of the things. I can tell you that as well. Around 25 to 30 million streams. They actually call you up. It happens to me a couple of times. They call you up and say, hey, I see that you have 25 million streams. If you pay us 5,000, no, it was not that much. It was like 2,500 euros or something like that. It was not that much. If you pay us that, we can actually put you onto several other things, so it actually spread, because this song goes very, very well. And so, in their eyes, a hit is around that kind of number. If you look into a normal country, if you have 20 million streams in Sweden, it actually is an actual hit in Sweden. A worldwide hit is around 100 million. It's around that time. So, 30 seconds, yeah. Do you know when you get paid for a stream? After 30 seconds, which is wrong. It's an algorithm that actually measures different types. So you can actually get paid after 1 second, but you should have a little bit of luck. But you're safe after 30 seconds. How many of you have your computer on and playing your own music? I never find those bands. I always wanted to see one band saying like, hey, I do that. Because you do. We have seen that on the statistics. You do. That's one of the things. But, and you don't have to be ashamed of it. I mean, if you have a computer streaming your album the day long, it's actually okay. It's totally okay. But be aware of that you only get paid the first 10 streams from the same account. So if I'm a really big fan of your band, and I play your song 10 times, you get paid for those 10. When I play the 11th, 12th, 13 is not going to be paid for. Before, Spotify had a system where they kicked people out. It didn't work that well because it could be a super fans that actually listened to the songs very well. So they have stopped. So you can only get paid for the 10 first. But here comes another but as well. The 10. But the rest of the streams, if let's say you're playing it's not illegal to play your own stuff, even though no one is in the room listening, you can just put it there streaming. The thing that we don't know is if those streams also count as streams if you look on a song, it has 14 million streams. We don't know if those included the ones that are out of the 10 or not. We have done some tests on it, and it's not conclusive what is going on there. But so sometimes also doing that actually can help the algorithms. The algorithms is not that smart, but we don't know if the algorithm is programmed to just count 10 or count more. So this is an area you can actually experiment on. And if you find the answers, send me an email and I can include that, which is one of the things I wonder. So let's go then to practical. You saw that you said, how many have Spotify artists? Oh, no, he's talking. Yeah, without Spotify artists, you can't do anything, more or less. I mean, you can get on playlists, sure, no problem. But it's actually, right now, everything's calculated from, how many have Spotify analytics? Yes, the managers. Spotify analytics is, I think the Spotify artist is actually a better tool, but Spotify analytics is kind of the same. Here we have a D that actually I borrowed this from. First of all, pick a genre. Don't pick your special genre, even if you are heavy metal with folk music and a slash of Brian Jones and have a child with whatever. No, don't. Actually, it's easier if you have the big broad ones. Pop, rock, hip hop. Don't lie though. I mean, if you do a special genre, then you only get to the playlist that has that special genre. So yeah, if you are aiming for just a certain playlist that has violin music, sure, put that in. But in the most cases, go as broad as possible. That has the most chance. I've seen many, like Christmas music, for example. Spotify has done a deal with one of the majors that their Christmas music is actually have, I think it said 70% bigger chance to get onto the Christmas playlist than the other ones. So if you put in Christmas music, it's like, well, you're out of the game. Music culture. This is if you have a song that is actually Celtic, Caribbean, and this is also special. So most of the times, actually, you should say none of the above of that one. But I know some artists like, yeah, but it's a little bit Celtic in my rock. And it's like, no, then you end up somewhere else that you should not be. So don't touch that one. Choose 2 modes. And the modes is only also, it's like, yeah, in this case actually, Adi's song is a ballad. So we took chill and we took sad. And also, yeah, this is a tip off. Turn off the camera, we can't say this. No. There's a hell of a lot of sad songs out there. And people love those sad playlists. People have a sad playlist all over the place. So if you put in sad, it actually has a better chance to get into playlists. But if it's a happy song and you put it into sad, the algorithms after a little while find that out, and also the listeners will have the skip rate like, what the fuck is this? Take it off. So don't. But if it has a little bit of sadness to it, actually use sad. I don't know, people are sad nowadays. There's not so much happy ones. And so of course energetic is a good one as well. There's so many people that are doing Zumba and they're doing all that stuff. They want energetic, don't care what it is, they just want that. So that goes on to pretty much playlist. So choose 2 modes and actually choose those. Even though if it's not that sexy, put it on sexy. But don't press none of these because that one is actually helping you. Then there's the next one. I can't even see myself there. Yeah, this is also like holiday, experimental, traditional. It's also if you have a special song. So none of the above, probably this one. The language, yes, it's very important with the language. Don't lie about it. I've been like if you have a German song, write German because they put that on the right lists. And that's also one thing that you can get a really bad skip rate because it's not correct. So tell that one. And then we have the instruments also. People are like, my artists are getting nuts around this sometimes. They're like, yeah, but there's a little bit of bow in there. And it's like, yeah, but that's actually if they have a bow song. It's like if the main thing is in a bow. If the main thing is a harp, then you can use that one. Yeah, put in guitar, drums, whatever it is, but that's not. Of course, then up here, if it's studio live, that's easy. Is it an instrumental? Is it all that kind of stuff? That's just put it in where it should be. It doesn't matter really. Here comes the real stuff. This is where it's important. This is just where it is. Tell you where you're from. Tell me which city you identify you with. This is the fun part. They actually write this in a certain way. Because they could have just written, tell me the city you're from. But they don't. They identify. And this is because if you live on a shithole somewhere out in this countryside, the algorithms won't find you. So if you live on that, it's better to write Stockholm or the capital of the city or whatever. Or if you feel like, well, I feel our music is kind of New Yorkish, so write New York there. It's a much more chance to get on a playlist the bigger the city it is. Because what it does, it goes back to the algorithms. And says like, if you're from New York, you probably like this. This is a New York style song. Even though if it's someone that's written it in a stick somewhere. It's the same. So here you can actually write something else. So in this case, for Adi is from Kalmar. Kalmar is the little town. Instead, of course, writing Kalmar, I wrote Stockholm there instead. Because most of the hip-hop music that she does is done in Stockholm. It's more likely that I want that song into playlists from Stockholm than Kalmar. So I did that. Then comes, and you saw that as well in the video. Here comes one of the I don't know why they write it this way. Describe your song. And we're back to the dead cat. I told you about the dead cat. Don't describe the song, what this is about. Here they want the future. They want what's going to happen with the song. Do you have a PR team? Is it sent to radio? Are you going to do an interview on a big TV station? Do you want anything that is what they want? And they write it a little bit later on. It says like, describe your song or any PR that you might want to do. And that's the PR. And what they're doing is the PR is so important for them, where they end up. So here is what you really should put your marks onto. Oh yeah, here's the stats. Can you read this now? Why did it is so small? Okay. It says, I know what it says actually. This is the playlists that people has, like personal playlists are these two. This is editorial playlists, and this is other. That is playlists that are used in cars and other things that use in Spotify systems, but is generated in a certain way. And let's see here. Yeah, so what we can read from this bars, this is two artists. I won't tell who is who. But as you can see, that artist has editorial playlist is almost 64%. That means that this artist has a lot of passive listeners. Everything comes from the playlisting system. And that means, and it have only 6% people that actually write in their name, searching for them. This is not good, really. So if I was a record label, I would be like, well, they're on the playlist, but you know, no one is really liking them and writing them in. And I've seen many record labels nowadays actually access this information. So if you're ever doing a record deal or anything like that and say, hey, can we get access to your Spotify artist page? I don't know, because you can look on this one quite easily. On this artist though, this artist has never been on a playlist. The editorial playlist is 0. But 36 to 34 of her audience is a large engagement. So this artist probably has less listeners, but the listeners are more engaged than the other one. So in this case, I would rather actually, if I was a record label, I would rather take this artist with less streams and start developing that, because people are more engaged to that music. So this is what the stats actually tells you. You can actually look if you have passive listeners or active listeners. This is active listeners, but it's passive listeners. So you can easily see how yourself is lying around. I would love to see the numbers on chain smokers. It would be like 0 here and like 1 million there. Probably. Remember her? Amber Mark? She was in the video. I was like, who should I compare with so you can start learning how to read the numbers. And I was like, and how to get into playlists. Amber Mark is a Spotify promoted artist. How do you get a Spotify promoted artist? You can't. It's one of the things is like they randomly choose. I have 2 of my artists actually was Spotify sponsored, and in both cases it's more or less someone that likes the music and just felt like, yeah, we should push this. They have done some quite good marketing around it. It doesn't mean that you have to be on a major label. It doesn't mean that you have to have anything behind it. They can just go for it. But they're looking on the stats. They're doing that. They're looking on what you're doing. And every time I got that, it's more or less, you can see that they have followed them for a while and have been supporting them. And suddenly it's just happened. So she's one of those nice ones. If you look on her numbers though, she has 8 million, 4 million, 6 million, 70 million is the biggest one, which is, okay. It's not the biggest one. It's actually not that big, but she's probably gonna get more because Spotify probably, if she's in that video, yes, they will sponsor this, she goes well for her career, yes, it will. And she has 1.4 million listeners a month, which is very good. And she has 71,000 followers. And followers is important as well. If you haven't done that, actually go out and ask your audience to follow you. Because the following is the one that actually goes to the release radar and those playlists. And there's one trick more that people don't know. Some of the playlists are not what it looks like. For example, Chill Autumn. I I was sitting one day in the office, looking into, and I saw one of my artists like, oh, they're on Chill Autumn. Chill Autumn has, I don't know, 3 million followers or something like that. It's a huge playlist. So I was like, oh, that's really great, cool. So I leaned over to my colleague and it's like, hey, did you see this artist on the Chill Autumn list? And they were like, it's not on Chill Autumn. I was like, yeah, it's on Chill Autumn. No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Yes, it is. And I was like, come over to my computer and look. And she came over and she was like, yeah, it's on your list, but it's not on mine. We went over to her computer, it's not. And we were like, what is this? And it's a new thing. This release radar stuff, actually, some of the playlists are half-half. So if you are like an artist that the editorial team has put into the Chill Autumn playlist, you actually reach those 3 million subscribers. But half of the list is made by the algorithms. So in this case, the algorithms, if I want to listen to Chill Autumn music, and they see, of course, this is one of my bands, so I work a lot with them, so I search them a lot, I do a lot with them, so the algorithm put it in there as a Chill Autumn track. But if you get in like that, we calculated later on, we looked like, how many streams did we get from this? And there was only 300 streams out of 3 million. So it depends also if you're on a big playlist, that doesn't automatically gonna get you a lot of numbers. Actually, the big playlists are usually built up by double team. The best playlist is actually when you have an audience that is really frantic about something. There was one of my bands, they had a certain word, and that word meant something else in some other language, and they put it into a playlist, and that playlist gave them 1 million streams just because of that word. It made funny in their language. So a frantic playlist can be anything. So here it comes back to the silos as well. So she has pretty good numbers on Spotify. I don't think they would take an artist that didn't have any good numbers. So I'm going to try Instagram instead. I'm a little bit mean. But she actually has pretty decent followers on Instagram. And probably that's what Spotify likes about her. That's probably what she's got at Spotify. Because she has 41,000 followers on Instagram. That's probably what Spotify actually went off on. And that she actually promoted herself quite much inside this Instagram account. That's my guessing. This is only guessing, definitely. Because when I looked onto... And she has actually 3,000 likes on each picture around, which is around 10%. So it's actually pretty good. That's a decent account. But then you jump over to Facebook. Yeah, she only have 18,000 followers. I guess many of the bands in here have 18,000 followers. So it's not much. But what is even worse? Do you see it?
Likes. 30 likes or 30.
Exactly. She has 18,000 followers, but only 30 likes. And then that was on. I went down and looked. There are 30 likes on everyone. So it's like, in this case, we can see that. Yeah, she's probably getting her fans here, and Spotify's helping her, but she doesn't actually have fans that follow her. So, because if you go into a real artist, I usually go into Ramones because it's one of my favorite bands, and they are dead, and that's good because then they can, fuck around with the numbers. And if you look into that, I mean, they have a lot of followers. They have a lot of followers. I don't think they have an Instagram account, but they have a lot of followers on Facebook, and they have a lot of followers on Spotify. So yeah, but you can go further than that as well. I went on to another streaming channels because I like other streaming channels as well. And here you can see, it's like she has 30,000 around followers on Facebook, on YouTube, and 93 million. It's not that bad actually. It's kind of good, but you can see it doesn't match anything on what she's doing on Spotify. That means that she has been a lot on playlists. That means what I would love to see with her is the active passive listeners ratio. That would be really fun to see that one. So let's do some comparison. Major Lazer, I actually worked on this Lean On, which by the time was the most streamed song in the world. As you can see also here, see the numbers? This is the monthly listeners they have. 90 million, and yeah, 5 million followers. So every time they shout out on Spotify, it goes mental. And they don't actually have to do any PR any longer. But what you should look on here is these. Look on this one. It's only Spotify's themselves playlists here. All the big stars, if you go into any big stars, you will see that Spotify there's certain playlists that are good enough to be on, and there's always Spotify's own. There are some independent playlists to get onto, definitely. We use that. I can tell you some stories about Major Lazer. The problem is that Major Lazer was done 2016, I think it was. Maybe it was earlier. It's the first time we used payola. That they said it didn't work. Yes, it did, back in the days. They stopped it. That was actually one of the first things they stopped, as we done it, because back in the days it wasn't allowed to pay. But what we did was more or less getting into a lot of playlisting teams that was private owned, and said like, hey, if we pay you $10, would you put it onto the playlist? And that worked pretty fine. The other thing we did with Major Lazer that was significant was that we let people, and that's one of the things that I still do, because it's the one we did with the payola system. Now that's illegal. You can't do it. It's Spotify taking that off. If they come up with that, they take it off. But they let, I think it was 20 bands who did covers of Lean On in different styles. And that was actually my job, to get the bands to get the covers. And what they did was more or less that people discovered this song and other playlists that they shouldn't discover. I mean, this one goes only on energetic or funky or something like that. So one of the bands did a ballad, one did a metal version and everything. And people discovered that and discovered the other song as well. And that meant it can be on so many playlists at the same time. Not with the same song, so it's not like, but they gather a lot of fans. So that's a trick that actually can be used still today. To do some covers of it or versions of it. And here you can also see, I went to YouTube. Here you can see it's a real artist as well. They have 11 million followers on YouTube. Each one has like millions of views as well. So you can see how the silos are equal. If the silos is not equal, someone is tampering with the numbers most of the time. Joel Adams. Anyone heard of him? It's like total silence. God damn. He has 430 million streams. It's one of the most played songs. You never heard of him? You should all have heard of him. I mean, they have more streams than all you together. Here you have the problem with streaming. Here's the ultimate problem with streaming. Yeah.
Sorry, Peter. We're 10 minutes past 6.
Oh God, we missed the Belgian party. I'm gonna take this one last. I had some other one as well, but Joel Adams, more or less, is a fake, not a fake one. I mean, the streams are real. That's not it. And Spotify loves to do this and say to people like, "Oh, look at this independent Australian artist who got these millions of streams." Yeah, they forgot to tell that he had $1 million on Facebook ads. I was not in that team, but my friend was, so I have the whole story of it. They actually, he found a manager in USA that his father was a millionaire, so he had $1 million that he could just do whatever he wanted to. So they bought Facebook ads and actually put this Facebook ads so people get into Spotify, stream it. And after a while, the streaming went up quite heavily. Some of the radio stations, it was played in Sweden as well. But the problem here was that, he never did a live show, what I know. I haven't seen any live shows. And this was given out, I don't know, 4 years ago. And now he gave out a song a couple of months ago, it's only 36,000. So the followers, and you can see that even though he has quite much amount of followers, it actually don't add up. So the streaming, yeah, you can have full of numbers, but it doesn't really matter. So now I have to short it short. I had some other examples as well, but it's too long. I said to them as well, this could take 5 hours if I just kept on going and showing stuff. The thing is, though, yes, get onto the playlist, but actually get the fans to play on their playlist. That's the best part. The playlist could be also a dangerous part. If you get too much playlisting, like Chainsmokers, then when you're playing live, I mean, Chainsmokers only drove 800 people in Stockholm last half a year ago. 800 people. You have bands in here that draws more than that. And that's the problem. The numbers can mistell so much. And the live industry today starts looking at these numbers like, oh, something is wrong. And like I did right here, they check all the stats. So when you do stuff, try to follow that things. And so if you get on a playlist, be fast to add on to the other silos so people follows up. Otherwise, it can be misjudged. Also, the playlist is like, don't try to buy the playlists. There are services that sends out the playlists, and if you're gonna use them, check out their old customers and check out if Spotify has used the old customer songs on their own playlist. There are many people that says that, yeah, I'm gonna get some playlist for you, but in the end, you might be banned from Spotify's own playlists. Especially if they say, like, I can give you 1 million streams. If they can say a number, it's always something scammy about it. And there are a lot of scams out there. There's a lot of people that you have seen the mobile phones with the Chinese that streams things for you. Don't use them. Because the thing in the end of this is that if you use those and pump up your numbers, the other numbers doesn't follow. And that's the hard part to know. But then, do the things from Spotify. Do it legally like we did. If they like the song, they will add the song. And they don't pick the famous artist. I had a release 2 weeks ago with one of the famous artists in Sweden and one unknown. They took the unknown artist to put on New Music Friday. Has nothing to do with how famous you are or anything like that. They like more famous band right now because the people would like to see them on the list, but it's definitely not a dead race on that one. But now we need to drink Belgian beer upstairs, so I will shut up and get on going.